Hey everyone, it's Kale from Scud Style, and today I'm bringing part 7 of my NoFap literature series with Deida's The Way of the Superior Man, a spiritual guide to mastering the challenges of women, work, and sexual desire. This to me is one of my favorite books. It's one of my favorite self-development books. It was published in 1997. I've had it for about a decade now. And I just really like this book and the whole message and how it's holistic and everything is tied together. So it's focused on self-development. It's focused on kind of the masculine energy, finding your purpose, all that kind of stuff, and how women and relationships all tie into that. But it's all about finding your purpose first. It talks about how men are more purpose-driven and women are more relationship-driven, but it goes into all of this, so I'm going to get into this. It also, as it relates to NoFap, goes into some specific sexual practices or refraining from certain things. I'll get to that within this little overview. So I'm going to start with the content like I do on all of my NoFap literature ones. And so it's broken down into 8 parts. All right, there's part 8. And you can see there in part 7, it gets into the more body practices, maybe applicable NoFap physical things, when the rest of it's more spiritual, personal, emotional, things like that. So just kind of brief overview. Part 1 is a man's way, and it's got all kinds of things in there. So stop hoping for a completion of anything in life. Know your real edge and don't fake it. Always hold to your deepest realization. Your purpose must come before your relationship. Things like that. So anyone using NoFap to try to find a partner and like, oh, I can't be happy without a partner, whether you're, actually a man or a woman, especially for a man, purpose is very important. And he goes into a lot of why that is and how focusing on your purpose first will actually make you more authentic to women and more accountable to women. And it actually just makes for a much better and fuller relationship because you have your purpose established and the relationship is within the context of you knowing who you are and being established. So then in part 2, there's tons of other stuff in this section, but part 2, dealing with women and tolerating her leads to resenting her, stay with her intensity to a point, don't force the feminine to make decisions, all kinds of just little sections in there that go into the difference between the masculine and the feminine, how the masculine and the feminine interact. And if you want to play in that masculine role, how to understand the feminine, understand your masculine input to that relationship. Part 3, working with polarity and energy. As a man, your attraction to the feminine is inevitable. Know what is important in your woman. Young women offer you a special energy. Each woman has a temperature that can heal or irritate you. Just all kinds of things relating to that. Part 4, what women really want. Choose a woman who chooses you. Your excellent track record is meaningless to her. She wants to relax in the demonstration of your direction. That's a really powerful concept. But he goes into detail in all of these sections. But even just reading the content in the table of contents, you can kind of realize the profundity of a lot of these things. So, part 5, your dark side. You are always searching for freedom. Own your darkest desires. She wants the killer in you. She needs your consciousness to match her energy. Part 6, feminine attractiveness. Allow older women their magic. The feminine is abundant. Turn your lust into gifts. That's a really important thing for anyone practicing sexual cultivation or working to combat maybe an overactive sexual drive or maybe a perfectly healthy sexual drive that just isn't being channeled. So never allow your desire to become suppressed or depolarized, and use her attractiveness as a slingshot through appearance. And then we get to part 7, where I was talking about some more NoFap practices. Ejaculation should be converted or consciously chosen. Breathe down the front, ejaculate up the spine. And he goes into details on all of those. Part 8, men and women's yoga of intimacy, so partner stuff. Take into account the primary asymmetry. You are responsible for the growth in intimacy. Insist on practice and growth. Restore your purpose in solitude and with other men, and practice dissolving. So I'm just going to go briefly a little bit. And he has this little thing right here. May this book serve the liberation of your true gifts, so that countless multitudes of beings may benefit. even more from your living and loving. It's kind of nice. All right, so I am gonna, this is what it kind of looks like. You know, the sections and the little things aren't that long, so yeah, I mean, that one's a page and a half. So it's really nice because it's broken down into parts, and each of them is broken into like this tiny chapter. You can see I've written some stuff in different margins. And turn your true lust into gifts. Never allow your desire to be suppressed and polarized. So this is a really great book to, because each thing's like 2 or 3 pages in between sections, in between little chapters. It's really great for digesting a small piece and implementing it at a time. It's not broken into large, dense chapters that you have to kind of slog through. And each little paragraph is actually really profound. I really like this book for the content, because as you can see, the book's not that long. You know, it's not a huge book. It only has, you know, it has less than 200 pages, 195. You can see that highlighted in the practice dissolving. I really like that section. But it's got these really nice, digestible, individual sections. So, part 7, body practices here. The ejaculation should be converted or consciously chosen. And I'll just read a little bit of a blurb here, just to give you a little bit of a taste here. There are many physical and spiritual reasons why ejaculation should be converted into non-ejaculatory whole body, brain, and heart orgasms. But there are also relational reasons. When a man has no control over his ejaculation, he cannot meet his woman sexually or emotionally. She knows she can deplete him, weaken him, empty him of life force. She has won. When a man ejaculates easily, he creates ongoing distrust in his woman. At a subtle level, she feels he cannot be trusted. She and the world can deplete and depolarize him easily. This subtle distrust will pervade the relationship. She will not only doubt him, but actually act to undermine his actions in the world. By undermining him, she demonstrates and tests his weakness, but she also hopes that through such tests he can learn to remain full. So, it talks about ejaculation and how it affects women's perception of men subtly. And this is all subtle, so men don't really realize this fact a lot, but me paying attention to all these different types of things after having read this book, you know, 8 to 10 years ago, and then putting it into my awareness, I've noticed a lot of this to really be validated and true in my experience and my observation. You won't be willing to bypass ejaculation until you have experienced the much greater pleasures which lie beyond it. And that, in a nutshell, is why we cultivate sexual energy in the first place, why we shy away from this instant gratification that we know leaves us depleted, that we know is wasteful of our most vital life force and essence. So, feels great for a few moments, but the price you pay for the genital sneeze of ejaculation is a much higher level of mediocrity in your daily life. You will find that you just don't have the extra gusto necessary to live your life with utter impeccability. Excess ejaculations pave the road to living a good life, but not a great life. In a subtle way, excess ejaculations will diminish your courage to take risks, professionally and spiritually. You will settle for doing enough to get by, to be comfortable, but you will find that you would much rather watch TV than write your novel, meditate, or make that important phone call. So this sounds a lot like we talk about in the NoFap community and any kind of retention community, how, you know, this is a big stepping stone in the process of self-development. How you take, okay, first I'm doing NoFap, and then I'm doing meditation, and I'm following my passions, and I'm doing what I want to do, and I get excited about every day, and I've got superpowers, right? And he's talking about this back in 1997, pre that movement, and it's really, really holistic. He's a really smart guy. And he really knows what he's talking about through his experience and working with a lot of people. But as always, her deepest pleasure is in feeling your fullness, your strength, and your love, even while she is testing you. So it talks about, again, the masculine and the feminine. I'm just going to flip through a little bit more. 46, ejaculate up the spine. So for most men, ejaculation involves spewing their energy and semen out through their genitals. Afterwards, they feel they have relieved stress, but the superior man's orgasm more often explodes up his spine and into his brain, from there raining down through his body like an ambrosial bliss of rejuvenation. So basically it talks about cultivating and transmuting and moving that sexual energy. But anyway, Way of the Superior Man, can't recommend it enough, and I will leave a link below if you can't find it, and thank you so much for watching.